Hey YouTubers, it's Lux here. No, not the picture, that's Ayn Rand. Among the many other things which are currently on my mind, there is something in particular which is bugging the hell out of me. Before I get going with my rant, I want to tell you that virtually everything which I see unfolding before me on a daily basis causes me to cite back to Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged in particular. I'll be doing a Rand video shortly, mostly to deal with some of the incredible disinfo about her that's going on here on YouTube. But even more importantly than that, I think, is just to let you know that she foresaw a cycle that we're going through right now. It was one that she had seen in her life, and it's one that we're going through now. What did Rand foresee exactly in Atlas Shrugged? Well, a few things pop into my mind right off the bat. The use of a person's most noble achievements and the highest aspects of their character, the use of that against the individual as a means of subjugating and silencing him, the looters and the moochers in our government and in our society, the use of a frequency weapon against humanity as the ultimate means of control and murder, the classification of free will, motivation, and excellence as the supreme enemy of a reasoned humanity. The presence of an evil few who rule the masses by means of media manipulation, by excessive regulation, and eventually by brute force. And the refusal of the most noble among us to give in to that domination. Statism, as Rand calls it, which we now see in its most ferocious incarnation, is upon us. You can call it tyranny if you like. I do. Collectivist hive mind mentality versus the noble individual. That's just the tip of the Rand iceberg. So we begin. This is about understanding who we, as humans, the species, truly are. About what we are truly capable of when we are left to pursue our lives, our passions, and enjoy the real blessings of true liberty. This is about being conscious and about taking the types of actions which we can be proud of. It's about knowing the enemies of liberty as well. Not just the overt, gun-grabbing, voice-suppressing, talking head-type people we see on television who allegedly represent the people. Not just them, but the more sinister and covert people and groups who seek to rob humanity of its true nature by insisting that humans are something which they are not and which they have never been. If you wonder how in the hell any free citizen of the United States could possibly think taking guns away from their law-abiding neighbors is a smart move, if you cannot fathom how these folks could even consider taking away a constitutional right from their fellow citizens, especially a right which one day might save their non-weapons owning behinds. If you cannot grasp how anyone could think like this, I may have some clues for you. The answers truly lie within the minds, hearts, and false perceptions of far too many of our fellow Americans, and our fellow Europeans, and our fellow people in general. Let's look at it like this. If you want to be peaceful, if you want to manifest peace and bring it into being, then you must be the example and lay down your arms. Again, you must lead by example. Notice the use of the word must. You must lead by example as a demonstration of how evolved and rational you are as a progressive member of this new reasoned humanity. So all weapons are a manifestation of something other than this total peace. Anyone who thinks they have a right to own a weapon is therefore not manifesting the change towards peace and enlightened one-world humanity. Therefore, it is the duty of government to regulate and legislate in a manner that makes it no longer any individual's right to own weapons, because you could not possibly have a right. No individual could ever have a right to own anything which is capable of killing or injuring other peace-loving people. If some people are so stupid, so primitive, and so war-loving that they cannot see this, then the government needs to step in and make sure that all the peaceful people are protected from gun-loving freakazoids. Can you see that line of reasoning? Because this is part of how they truly think, and what they honestly, though mistakenly, believe. And the logic is flawed for so many reasons. One, this type of belief insinuates that law-abiding gun owners do not want peace. We cannot comprehend tragedy or violence. They do not actively seek peace or harmony between themselves and their fellow beings. They will not be capable of behaving in a responsible manner, not in a reasonable manner either, ever, so long as they think they have the right to own a weapon. This can be seen very clearly in the wake of the Sandy Hook event. No one in the mass media wanted to hear from any Second Amendment proponent on this issue, and the issue was tragedy. It was as though anyone who owns a firearm and intends to support their Second Amendment right had no capacity to understand that dead children were a bad thing. Gun owners were not even capable of feeling sorrow, according to the media. And this insinuation is so very dangerous, so very insidious. When someone tells you with words, behavior, or by insinuation that you have no right to your own thoughts and feelings simply because you choose to exercise a constitutional right, then we have a scenario reminiscent of Nazi Germany in progress. Which brings us to 2. A fellow YouTuber brought up in the comments section of one of my other videos the episodes in recent human history wherein a population was disarmed and was subsequently ruled by tyranny of one form or another. This YouTuber is absolutely correct. This exact thing happens again and again and again. If history is clearly available for anyone to read about and study, then how is it that there could be anybody who cannot see how these events of the recent past would not apply to us and our current scenario? Well, this is where we get into what some would like to call mind control. There are many names for it. Brainwashing, consensus sculpting. Okay, I made that one up. You ask, as many here on YouTube have been doing, how come these people want to take our weapons away from us, but it's okay for the government to have weapons? Or, if all weapons are bad, then why not take all weapons away from everyone, everywhere? And why do these people want to take away our firearms because of what they think we might do? But they support Obama and could care less about what he is doing, about the children and the innocent people killed by the drone attacks and military actions that are going on right now while he's in the White House. Shouldn't they be furious about things like this and want to end these things as well? If you see the logic in those questions, then be assured that as plainly as you see the logic, the gun grabbers do not want to see that logic. Or rather, they fail to see the illogical, pathological, and eventually suicidal pattern developing in their own minds. You see, these are the same people that wanted Obama as a second-term president. They would elect him ruler if they could, because Obama can do no wrong, in their opinion. All of the promises he made to them, he broke or he never kept. And they do not seem to notice this. They continue to speak angrily about Bush and Bush Sr., yet they turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to what is taking place under Obama. And the irrationality behind what is going on in their heads and coming out of their mouths and shaping their political agendas, this they cannot, they will not, and they refuse to acknowledge this. I have a sister who thinks this exact same way. She decides what it is she wants to believe, and then she believes it. She takes the party line, the Republican or neocon version of events in her case, and then repeats it. She connects the political agenda to her religious beliefs and makes these into a set of talking points and opinions. Any attempt to show her evidence which thwarts her talking points gets a prefab response. There is no way into a mind which is that closed, that set in its determination to make it so, whatever it may be. And so it goes with the gun grabbers. They have decided that Obama can do no wrong. They have decided that Nancy Pelosi is an amazing woman with a proud legacy of representing the people. They see Dianne Feinstein as a career woman of the people who has the best interests of humanity and peace as her guiding beacons. So any attempt to demonstrate that these beliefs are totally unfounded or wrong, well, you'll get to hear their prefab response. They will not look at history, because to study history, one must acknowledge within oneself the very duality of human nature. I use the Braveheart story again. No, not because I love Mel Gibson or anything, but because, as usual, it seems to work. William Wallace was a tender, gentle, and loving character for the most part. He wanted nothing more than to live in his little village and be with his beautiful wife and raise babies and ride his horse. He wanted no war. He had seen enough of the violence in his travels. But when evil came to his village and robbed him of his right to be happy, free, peaceful, well, he was one savage mother on that field of battle. And it is in each of our natures to be like William Wallace, to be peace-seeking and still have the innate ability to take the fight right back to the violator of our peace. The gun grabbers want to believe certain things, just as my sister wants to believe that Israel has the right to stomp the crap out of the Palestinians. The gun grabbers want to believe that we, as humans, have progressed to the point where that savage instinct no longer exists. They want to believe that if government makes rules which legislate away our right to take the fight back to the folks who started it, if such rules are put in place, then only good can come from this, i.e., if those pesky Palestinians would just stay on their side of the damn line and stop firing bombs and missiles across the line, well, they would have nothing to fear from peace-loving Israel. Oh, really? Strange how the ones under fire always seem to be shown as the ones who are asking for it. Ever notice that? The ones seeking to assert their rights to defend their homes, their families, their very lives, they always seem to be the ones who start the fights. When a person allows himself or convinces himself to believe that this is how conflict operates, then he totally fails to understand human nature and how we operate. And more importantly, such mistaken perceptions validate the killing, subjugation, and demonization of those being set up as the enemy. It's a fact. Many of us bought into the Afghan and Iraq wars on similar misperceptions. We did. But many of us woke up, thank goodness. Of course, by the time some of us woke up, the Patriot Act was already the so-called law of the land, and good luck repealing that one. We let a whole lot of liberty slip right through our fingers there. And I am certain that this is why so many of us are pissed off now about our Second Amendment rights and the potential for this to be once again legislated away or eradicated by means of yet another executive order. I mean, if anyone should be up in arms about such transgressions against freedom, should it not be the anti-war crowd? The people with the no war and no blood for oil sticker on their vehicles? I happen to live in a town with a very, very vocal minority of straight-up leftists, communists. And I was really intrigued by the fact that all of their bumper stickers with no war and no blood for oil, those bumper stickers disappeared off their vehicles within maybe 2 years of Obama's first term. So what then do these people really believe in? And why are they so dead set on disarming the American population? The only way I can sum this up in one sentence is this: they believe that which they choose to believe. They choose to believe that Obama is right in everything he does and everything he says, because they want to believe in Obama and what he seems to stand for. Not what he does, but what he says he stands for. They want to believe that Americans are somehow different, maybe biologically or intelligence-wise. Somehow we're different than the people of Palestine, the people of Soviet-era Russia, of Cambodia, of the former Yugoslavia, of the Nazi era. They want to believe that humans, right here, right now, are special, and that we do not have that dualistic William Wallace type nature. Or rather, they want to believe that if they manifest this belief, that they will be acting in accordance with peaceful objectives, and those who disagree are simply thinking in an outdated, brutish, and violent manner. As many of us woke the hell up following 9/11, there will be those who wake the hell up now, but the stakes are currently much, much higher. In the event that gun banning legislation somehow takes place, and assuming that all 50 states decide to honor this legislation, this will make any owner of a banned weapon into a criminal. With other legislation that is already in place, the Patriot Act, the NDAA, and so forth, the ability of us criminals to get a fair and timely hearing on such things, let's just say this is one hell of a sinister entanglement that we've got. Further, the obvious issue is that without an armed population, there will be no Constitution, no First Amendment, no redress through any justice system anywhere in this nation, and tyranny will flourish. It has been flourishing, and will, as history demonstrates time and again, rise to new and unimagined levels. So long as our confused Americans decide that they will support anything and everything which the Obama White House and company say, do, or suggest, well, we are going to see one heck of an escalating battle. It is not a battle begun by law-abiding gun owners who are, and have been for many, many years, well within their human and guaranteed constitutional rights in owning and lawfully possessing firearms. No, sir. We did not initiate any such battle, fight, discussion, or snafu. And like William Wallace, such as the character portrayed in Braveheart, we are confused as hell about why we are under attack for simply minding our own beeswax. But you know, we're not stupid, and we can see that a fight is being picked. This reminds me of something I watched on YouTube a while back, and it's been bugging me ever since. It's a perfect illustration of what I'm saying, and some of you are not going to be happy about what I'm saying here, but I do want you to listen. A while back, I watched the movie Kymatica right here on YouTube. That's Kymatica with a K. I'll leave a link to it in the description box. I was going along just listening to what was being said. It was allegedly a movie about consciousness, about vibration, frequency, so I'm just sitting there listening. Suddenly, out of nowhere, there were gratuitous scenes of animal murder, torture, cruelty of unspeakable proportion. I was watching on my Blu-ray player on my TV, so there was no way for me to fast forward past those disgusting scenes. I left the room so I didn't have to watch the horror, but I could hear it, and my dogs were absolutely freaked out by it as well. When I whipped back in to watch the remainder of the movie, and I was already over it by this point, because anyone who puts that type of filth in any movie which is allegedly about peace and consciousness has a whole different agenda in mind. That's a given. And I'll mention that the animals being tortured were cats and dogs, and don't think that was a mistake on the part of the people who made Kymatica. So I continue watching Kymatica, the movie, and then they give it to us, the real message behind Kymatica. They tell us how we, as enlightened and peaceful beings of vibrational love, should respond to violence and cruelty. I don't need to name names here. You can go watch the movie if you want to. I've already warned you about the violence. And I think you should decide for yourself which of the people in the movie has the problematic belief system. The message here is that unless you decide to love your way out of violence, then you are the problem itself. When faced with violence and even the ability to stop the attack, should that present itself, your choice should be to simply stand by and feel the love towards both the victim and the attacker. Oh no, that's really in there. The implication, as you know, is that if you should put an end to the violent attack, then you too are an attacker. Well, pal, this is not the law of the land. It is not the law of human nature, and it is not the way most of us are wired. The further insinuation is that this part of human nature, the innate and powerful compulsion to defend your fellow creatures when they are being injured or killed, this part of you makes you a bad citizen of humanity. Unless you're in the military, then it's okay. And this, my friends, is the very root of the very real problem. The thing which makes you the bravest, the most noble, and the most selfless, to the point where you don't care about your own life, you care more for the safety of another. This most high aspect of your goodness is misguided, it's evil, and it must be stopped now. Part of being aware of your existence as a conscious being is seeing what we really are down here on planet Earth. Here's a heads up. We are not pure love. We do not live in Shangri-La societies of pure love and light. We do not create governments or institutions of gentle love and innocent exchange of totally beneficial light and vibration. That is not who we are. Some would say that is what we are and we should return to it, but I gotta tell ya, the historical and archaeological records don't bear that little concept out. There are no religious, sacred, or ancient texts which say we are totally good. Humanity and the gods which are mentioned and worshipped in those texts are also not 100% peaceful. Not the people and not the gods. And no amount of wanting something to be true will make that something so. And let me just tell you, no one is going to guilt me into believing that my innate tendency and my training to rush into a dangerous situation to provide assistance, no one can convince me that this is wrong, bad, or evil. Nope, ain't gonna happen. It's the best of what I have to offer, my very life, for your defense. Most important of all, you will never be able to force or compel most of us, not by legislation, nor by statute, and never by force. There is no way to subjugate or subvert that primal instinct, which so many of us feel right now, to defend our lives and the lives of others, even if it means we lose our lives in the process. That is part of who we are as a species. It's part of everything that exists now. Everything that exists now is because our predecessors had that same instinct. If you weren't a mean son of a bitch, then you didn't survive. You didn't get to have any heirs. You cannot make me hate myself for the very things which I value most about myself. My immortal spirit, which is most noble and selfless. Not selfish, selfless. Anyone who thinks they can influence a violent episode by simply manifesting love, well, you don't know much about violence, buddy. And you may have read about it, seen it, maybe on TV or in the movies or newsreels. You may have heard about that violence and said, well, I would have done this, or if I had been there, that would never have happened, blah, blah, blah. You may not know much about violence now, but keep poking the lion with that stick, and you may get to be up close and personal with violence. See if you can love your way out of it when violence is in your face. See if Obama or Feinstein rush in to save you with their enlightened and progressive outlook, with their version of conscious humanity. Dream on. Dream your little shiny happy dreams of peace, love, incense, your dream of oneness with the allness of all creation. Keep shoving your misguided thoughts and intentions down the throat of people who are and who have been minding their own business and who do not want any conflict, who never want to have been in a situation where they must defend themselves or others. Keep poking that lion. Your fluffy little hairdo and your puka shells are going to get all sorts of mussed up if you ever meet up with that violence you so detest. The lawful gun owners are not picking any fight. And the one thing we all want is for this fight to go away, because we get it. We want to go on with our lives. But folks, I do not think this will be going away anytime soon. As we go out into the world around us in our daily lives, I urge you to listen very closely to what people are saying. Those who would virulently oppose your right to bear arms, listen to them very closely, and I want you to do this. Please make videos about what you are hearing from them. What are their arguments? How do they support their arguments? What is the life history of the person making the argument? Have they ever been a victim of violence? Is there a personal reason that they would ban firearms? Listen to them. Make videos about what you are hearing and about how you are responding to these arguments and to these opinions. And moreover, were you able to get through to these people? It is essential that all Americans understand what is truly at stake here. And I am sure that reciting statistics and facts is usually not a great way to break the ice or communicate with folks when they are diametrically opposed to your rights and beliefs. It's not going to happen. There needs to be a communication between the sides here, those who would ban guns and those who wish to protect their Second Amendment. We need better communication between those sides, not on the political level, the talking points level, no, but on the level of the individual, person to person. If someone starts using Obama or Feinstein or Pelosi or some org as an inspiration for their beliefs and intentions, lure them away from simply parroting political talking points. Try to lure them into the realms of history, of daily reality, and of human nature itself, that duality that we all have. Most people, especially females, if you ask them what they would do if someone were attacking their child, as an example, I don't think any woman is going to just say, well, I would just feel love for the attacker. No, sir. They need to understand that only a moron repeatedly pokes a lion with a pointy stick. There is no reason to poke him unless you are bored, mean, or simply have no idea of what you're messing with. The lion, you see, is minding his own business for now. He would rather that you did not poke him at all. He has lion things on his mind. He doesn't want to have to deal with you or your stupid little stick. But rest assured, he has been poked, and he is now waking up. If you are standing there with that stick in your hands, it would be a good idea to back away now while you still have the chance. Because if you keep it up, this type of situation will, as it always has in the past, not go well for anyone involved. That said, the most important thing here is this. Much love to one and all, to everyone everywhere. I hope that you're all well, happy, safe, and proud to be human. Let's make one another proud, keep one another safe, and keep those people who need our prayers and positive thoughts in our hearts. And keep looking up.